You want to raise your prices, but the fear of losing clients is stopping you. I'm going to be covering the 4 steps to raising your fees, raising your prices, what I like to call the 4 P's of pricing. Now, today's video is part 2 of a 4-part series, so make sure to stick around and watch part 1 if you missed it. Let me just ask, are you saying to yourself, well, what if someone says no? Or what if I lose a client? Or what if they get mad at me? Or when should I do it? Any of those questions come to your mind? And what's the common thing about those questions? It's that it's always about someone else. It's someone else's perspective. Because you can't ask permission, you can't try to be perfect, and you definitely cannot and won't be able to please everyone when you're raising your fees. But I got to tell you that the right clients, the ones that you are called to work with, will say yes more times than not. And the ones who are actually not the best fit for you to serve will say no, and that's okay too. So the first P, the first step is that you've got to price your payoff. What's your payoff? Well, your payoff is, what do people leave with that they didn't have before your offer? How does their life, their career, their relationships, their health, their business get better? What's the 10x result that your offer gives them? And you have to price that. It's not about pricing the pieces they get, right? The time with you, the workbooks, coaching hours, those are the pieces. No, you've got to price the payoff. And oftentimes the payoff will be something that you don't even see as valuable because it's easy and effortless and a joy for you to do that you can't even see like someone would pay for this, but it is your responsibility to recognize it. And your clients can help. So one of the things that I do in the end of coaching sessions is to ask clients, what are you leaving this session with? And I do it for 2 reasons. Because I want them to articulate to themselves and to me, what is the payoff for them showing up today, and to get really clear of the value that they're receiving, where they're not going to lie to themselves. And it's also great feedback for me. It's something for me to recognize, like, this is what they bought. This is what's valuable, because we want to sell what people want to buy, not what we want to sell. And oftentimes, again, because we don't value our value and we don't think it's valuable, we underestimate. We can't even see what is easy and effortless and fun for us to do. People are like, what? That's so huge. But when you ask people to say, like, what are you leaving with? They'll answer, right? And that will help you begin to see what you may not be able to see, what the payoff is. And you got to price it, right? You got to come with a price on that. And sometimes there's a price to it, right? You got to come with a dollar amount, right? Even if there isn't a dollar amount naturally associated, because there is more value to, like, oh my God, I have more peace of mind, and oh my God, I have someone to share this with. Like, there is monetary value, even if it's not upfront. Like, I've helped you generate 100K more in sales, and that's something that you have to do. Remember, price doesn't matter when value is present. So you get clear of your value and the price associated, and it will save you. Now, don't worry. Like, why am I giggling? It's actually not a laughing matter, but I can laugh now. So years ago, I had a retreat, my first at the time and only international retreat in Belize. It was amazing. And because I didn't value my value, I priced it at a really low price. It was like $1,000. That was the early bird, and $1,497, 3 days intimately with me, breakfast and lunch included in I'm talking gorgeous resort. And I remember after day 1, that my client said, oh, now I see why clients like yourself charge $40,000 to work with someone like you for a day. Yeah, you can do the math. I charged as low as $1,000 for 3 days. And she had done the research and saw that clients like myself charge $40,000. Now I couldn't have charged $40,000 then. I do now charge $40,000 for a VIP day because I didn't value my value. So start with pricing the payoff. And then you're going to pick a start date. When is this going to start? When is your new pricing going to start? Is it going to start at the top of the year? Is it going to start the top of the month? Guess what? You get to decide. And it's really helpful for you to decide because when new clients come in, of course, you can, write it off. They're going to get that new fee. And we see that happen all the time, right? We see that in the real estate. Like if, you have a tenant who has been renting with you for 10 years and their rent is going to be far less than when you have a tenant who just moved in last month. Okay. No different, right? And that start date is going to be important for you to know. And it's really a decision, right? Like this is when it's going to happen. And it also gives you time to know when to communicate that to both your current clients or your past clients, like when they need to know it goes into effect. Here, these are the 4 steps. Like I'm breaking them down. The next step you want to do, and don't underestimate this because I did. Yeah, because when I did this, I got to tell you what this client said. And this is perfecting your presentation, how you're going to say it. You want to practice saying that your fees are increasing. And it doesn't need to be an elaborate conversation like I had. I had a client that I was working with at the 5-figure level, and I'd set a date when my new prices were going to start. I was fine with that. But I hadn't practiced, right? I was like, oh my God, what if I lose her? What if she says no? And was full of nerves and hadn't practiced. And I started talking to her and I just started talking. Because maybe you're like me. When you get nervous, you over talk. You tend to overshare. And she stopped me and said, Althea, you're overselling. I'm already in because the value was present. Let me rewind that. She said, Althea, you're overselling. You're already in. And I wanted to stop because some of your clients, that is going to be their response. They're already in. You've already provided them so much value and they know it. And your best clients don't have a problem with paying you, a price that aligns with your value. So let's perfect that, right? Because we can't outprice our beliefs. And if you don't believe that you are worthy, then neither will they. I was having a conversation with someone. They're like, well, I can't just come out and tell you I'm going to charge you $10,000. And I said, oh, you definitely can. And I definitely wouldn't pay that because you don't believe it. And they're like, I said, because you don't believe it. Like I wouldn't pay it because you don't believe it. Just from that fact. Yeah. People are buying you, as Jeb Blunt said, but they're buying your beliefs. They're buying your confidence. So polish, your presentation. And it literally can be as simple as this. Effective January 1, my coaching program is going to be $25,000. If you'd like to get it in for $15,000, you can enroll now. When you do that, some of the people who were warm leads and hot leads are like, let me go ahead and get this now. When haven't you done that? Right? Like, I've been thinking about this. Okay, this is the motivation that I need. Or some of your past clients are like, I was thinking like, this is the motivation. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be where you are asking permission, where you are trying to be perfect, and where you're performing and trying to please them. Let's bring it in. And this is polish your proclamation. And what I'm saying here is, how are you going to say it? Are you going to say it over the phone? Are you going to say it in a letter? Are you going to say it via email? Are you going to say it from the stage? Again, you decide depending on your business, your relationship with your clients, how you are going to deliver it. That's the 4 P's of how to raise your prices. And sometimes we think it needs to be more complicated, but it really, really doesn't. How many times have you received a price increase via email and you said yes? Or maybe you were like, wait, like that hit my card. I didn't know it was going up. You've probably seen it via email. You may have received a letter, right, about it. You may have heard it from the stage. And how have you felt? How was it done? Sometimes this is a good time to model. All I want you to remember is that you sell how you buy, right? You sell how you buy. If you're selling like with hesitation, with fear, with doubt, guess what? I bet that's how you buy. And I don't know how it works, but it does. Other people are buying from you that way. They're on the fence. I can remember where I had such a lack mindset, and a coach was giving me advice. This is years ago, back in 2017, on certain investments I need to make. And I was like, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I mean, that was my default. And good coaches who are like, okay, I'm not going to argue with their limit. Just that. And I heard the shift in my coach's voice. And I remember saying to myself, Althea, how do you know you can't afford it? Have you even looked at the price? I realized that I was just saying it. And then I said to myself, if you don't want people to say they can't afford it, you need to stop defaulting to I can't afford it, which we all know. We've all bought things that we can't afford, that are not in our budget, things that we absolutely needed to have. Maybe it's for you, that car, that home, that purse, that perfume, that concert, that vacation. Come on now. You've done it. I know I've done it. And I'll do it again. I just recently did it. And I know I'll do it again. It wasn't in the budget, but I had to get it, right? I want you to remember this when you are raising your prices. And I'm telling you, when you go through these steps and you continue in our series, you will find that you'll be able to raise your fees in a more natural way versus experiencing nervous energy. Let me know below which of the 4 P's you got to work on, right? And then make sure to stick around to watch the next video if you missed part 1, and continue with us in this series. Okay, until then, take care. God bless. Love you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when we release a new video. Then click the TV to watch the next video. Go to altheamcintyre.com to get your free training on the 7 biggest sales mistakes that keep you from 7 figures.